Some of the changes that I've seen in families because of this program are that I've seen a kid come in with his arms crossed and I don't want to be here and all this attitude. And on the closing night, we were doing the closing circle, and the question was something to the effect of, what's the strength you've gained from families, from strengthening families, or what's something you've learned? And he said, I've learned how lucky I am, how blessed I am. And he was both lucky and blessed. You know, you could just see that he now felt an integrated part of his family, and the parents reported they weren't arguing anymore. Repeatedly, I've had families say, we're not struggling over homework, over getting up in the morning. We're not struggling over just the nitpicky stuff of every day anymore. So there was a lot more calmness in families. Another thing I've seen repeatedly is when you get mom and stepdad and dad and stepmom both attending the program, now you get a unified family. Even though they're two separate marriages, you have them working together with their youth on the same page in a way that they hadn't been, and they're no longer fighting each other post-divorce. I see families come in who are really strong to begin with and come out and say, well, we didn't really think we were going to get that much, and we were really surprised how much we learned. And I've seen families who came in that were just really almost falling apart and barely functioning and coming away feeling pretty solid.
So I have seen families that were maybe not, they had lost almost, I don't want to say they've lost hope, but they had lost that communication with their preteens. And it was starting to become scary for the family. And then through the program, they've been able to find some form of connection. And in finding that form of connection, it seems that it has calmed the family down. You know, so maybe it's not perfect, you know, because they're teenagers, you know, so things are happening, right? There's always going to be that, you know, that push and pull, and that, you know, trying to find those boundaries and redefining themselves and everything and who they are as the grown-ups they're going to be. But nonetheless, there's some kind of calm because they have found some mutual ground. And I think that's just wonderful. I have seen one family in particular that comes to mind where, you know, they really were not communicating at all, not even a little bit, nothing. And then they go through the program, and then they're actually following the rules that have been set. You know, they're actually finding structure again, which had been lost. You know, so to me, that's just miraculous.
I've seen the kids especially feel like more strong and more able to, especially use the refusal skills. They have more confidence. Families, I feel like once they go through the class, they have more tools, but they also are okay about asking for help and working with the counselors, working with the group. It seems like they're more open to other options. So I really feel like that's the strength, that they're being able to reach out. And the kids, I feel like I get to know, at least in my schools, I get to know the families a little bit, so I really have a lot more in common with them, and I can really relate to them easier.
I've seen more communication between the parents and the children. It gives them limits and it shows them how to tell your kids, I love you, because they need to hear that, and it's very important. So I think the strength in this is the communication and the letters, because there's a couple of letters that parents give to their children and their children give to their parents, and I think that's really a positive reinforcement for the parents and the kids.
Seems like the rhythm is the first night people are all sort of looking at us sideways, you know, what did I get myself into here? I've signed on for 8 weeks. We sort of bribe them along with dinner the first night, and almost always by the third week The buy-in is pretty solid. Either the youth are now begging to go when they were dragged in the first night, some of them, and the parent or parents are very willing. So the changes are really obvious as far as wanting to be there. So that helps immensely. And then secondly, the thing that I always see is that there is such an increase in affection and play amongst the family members. And given the state of the economy and people's lives in general, play is something that has really gone by the wayside. Playing games, doing art. These are things that families want to do but don't know how to begin, don't even think of sometimes, given how busy everyone is and how fragmented lives are. And so watching parents and kids play games, do art, and sit closer together and arms around each other, that's always just a wonderful, wonderful change that we see. And in inclusiveness, you see in blended families, you see them coming in sometimes rather split, where there's the mom and the daughter and the stepdad's over here, and you can see those bridges being built for perhaps a stepdad to be more included in the family. So they're pretty obvious, the changes. Actually, the name, it's a great name, Strengthening Families Program, because it happens to be true. I don't think I have done one group, one series where you didn't feel like you had participated in helping families strengthen. In particular, I think that is an educational basis, provides an atmosphere that is pretty non-threatening. So when people are referred into it or suggested to maybe participate in it, they're not white-knuckling it thinking they're heading into therapy. So I think that knowing that it's educationally based is a really makes an easy entry for families. The small size, the groups, the parent group, the youth group are small size. That helps facilitate the ease, and also that it's community-based. So a lot of the families that are coming in are all from the same school or sister schools, and so that provides an atmosphere of community and some common ground for the families.
It brings the families together, and they work on things together, and they have fun together. They learn a lot of really valuable tools, both the kids and the adults. But for me, seeing them have fun and working together, especially when there's been family conflict, that's just really important. And realizing that they can do things together as a family and enjoy it, even when things aren't perfect.
In my opinion, it has so many strengths. I think that one of the things it does, it helps parents communicate with their children when it's already very difficult to do. There is that, generational divide that happens. Life changes. So, especially lately, it seems to me that civilization and everything has been changing so fast because of all the technological advances, and so it's like a new world every 5 years, and so it creates that atmosphere of trust and communication once again that maybe was lacking. So that's one of the strengths. Another of the strengths is that it creates community. Here you have a group of parents that are maybe having the same issues, and by just simply participating, they're voicing what they're doing and thus helping one another, and it creates that the possibility for them to continue to connect. And I think that it's key. That we really do need a village to raise a child, and we're creating that village, that space for that village. So that's another strength. The other strength is that it helps community leaders to connect with the community itself, and vice versa. So, whoever ends up teaching the class connects with new people that maybe they wouldn't have known otherwise. So I think it's a win-win. It also, so far, since we're working with schools, it connects parents to schools. that maybe before they didn't have such a strong connection for whatever reason. And here they are coming to the school and connecting to the school. So I think it's marvelous.
Each time you turn around, there's an activity that builds family. I found as a parent, family meetings were one of the strongest things that we could do in our family. It gave everyone a voice. It allowed us to switch chores around so that people didn't feel like they were stuck with the low status chores. Because taking out the trash is the one that kids so often get, and they feel like they've been relegated to the low end. And it really helps to give kids high status chores on occasion. I love the family tree, because in the family tree, the whole family is spending time giving each other compliments. And so many times, individuals in the family don't realize how much they're acknowledged and appreciated by others, and that activity really spends time acknowledging that I see the good in you. I love the family shields. It's so rare that a family spends time to talk about their values, and that allows families to really look at what's important. And the concept of a shield is that values protect us from making poor decisions and from going down the wrong road. And they really do. And when you do a family shield, you reinforce that concept that we have a common beliefs in our family, whether it's spirituality or caring for the environment or being kind to others, whatever it might be. It turns out to really be a protective factor. Another part of the program I really like is the letter that the parents read to their children. We know from research that telling your kids what your expectations are for drug and alcohol use really helps limit use. But it's like the sex talk, so few parents do it. And when you do the drug and alcohol talk with your kids, it really is very powerful, and it does help them to know what you want of them and what your expectations are. And they do a better talking. The program really increases that intimacy that occurs across the kitchen table. And I think that intimacy across the kitchen table is probably one of the best protective factors that can exist. And this program really delivers that in so many different formats. It creates a forum for parents to go, I thought I was going nuts, and the parent next door says, I'm having the same problem, and comes up with strategies for helping with those problems. And it really reinforces to parents that what they're going through is normal, and that there are some strategies and strengths that they can use that build self-esteem instead of tear it down. I was talking to a dad just a couple weeks ago, and he was saying, well, I always have my kid write down, I did this wrong, and I'm going, well, let's take a look at the positive. What could you do that's reinforcing the positive? And he goes, well, I could have him write, next time I'll, and it really helped the parent stop looking at the negative in his child and start looking at expectations and positive possibilities. And those kinds of things come out in this class all the time.
We have a lot of Latinos families in our district that could be involved. If I was to recruit a family, first of all, I would come into their home and share all about the benefits that Strengthening Families has for their family and for their youth, the parenting skills, some of those cross-cultural differences that a student might face because they live in two different worlds, and how can parents deal with the change of those cross-cultural differences. I think I would really start with that.
When I talk to families about this program, one of the things I stress is that this is a great chance for you as a family to take this last opportunity before they start into middle school or get into high school to stretch yourselves and learn a little bit about who you are and what makes you a family. And the Strengthening Families program will do that for your family. I know it's a long 7 or 8 week commitment, but the time, when you think of the big picture, is a small time that can mean a great deal and can set you up for going through all the things that you need to as a parent and as a family.
When I'm talking with new families who are thinking about enrolling in the Strengthening Families program, I often encourage the parents to think about this time, the 2.5 hours every week, including mealtime, as a special time for their kids to know that their parents are really invested in learning and growing and having fun together with them, especially when we're so busy during the week with jobs and kids have so many commitments with homework and activities. For our kids to know that they can have this time every week, even though they're older and they might not need us in the same way as they did when they were younger, is a really precious gift that we can give to our kids.
When we do recruitment for families, one of the things that we like to do, first of all, I get it in every newsletter that goes home that I can. It might just be 1 or 2 sentences. Watch for the Strengthening Families program in April or February or whenever it's going to be, so that when you do finally start doing a letter out, families know about it. Talk to your teachers and tell them about the strengths of the program so that they have it in mind. Make sure that at conference time in November or March, whenever it is most helpful, that there are applications for the class with the teacher during conference time so she can hand it out or he can hand it out to parents. Do a letter home that tells about the program, mention its strengths. It's okay, I think, to play to the anxieties about elementary kids going into middle school. Parents are really worried always about transition, whether it's elementary to middle or middle to high. So if you have families that are having children transitioning into the next level of school, remind them that this is a really helpful thing to help families with that transition. Make sure that all families are welcome so that they know that it's not just for the families that are in trouble or that they don't think that, well, we don't need it. Mention that every kind of family can benefit from this. And I also would encourage you to charge money for it. It doesn't have to be a lot, $25, $30, $35, $40. Scholarships should be available, and when I get a family that wants a scholarship, they say, well, how do we get a scholarship? And I say, all you need to do is ask for it, you've got it now. But then I say, when paycheck comes at the first of the month, if you're able to contribute a little bit, that would be nice, because we'd like everyone to contribute. So even those who have a full scholarship are asked to pay if they can. But then I don't follow up on that and make a big deal about it. When families pay, they do feel that they have a bigger stakehold in the process. I try and speak about it if there's a parent night when everybody comes and they go into the cafeteria or something and the principal talks to everybody. A lot of times I'll ask the principal if I can talk for just a couple of minutes, and I'll talk about what my services are at school, and then I'll mention, and we have a really great family class coming up in February or whenever it is, and just to let folks know about it.
One is make sure you take a look at the whole program ahead of time. Of course, you've gone through the training and all of that, but it's good to get a refresher and just look at the whole thing and take a look at the packets and take a look at whatever is in there. Really take a good look at it ahead of time so you know what you have in those boxes. And prepare ahead of time. I find it so much easier to take, the flip charts home and draw them ahead of time and having them ready before class. So that's one. The other one is keep in touch with the parents. on a very constant basis, and be prepared for them to come to you with other issues that maybe they're not sharing in the group. Maybe they're not sure if it fits or it doesn't fit, so they'll come to you with that kind of thing. So make sure that you have a venue for them to come to you. Be early, so these parents can be there, and they can talk to you before their parents show up and things like that. I think that's really important. So the material, there's something else I was going to say, but definitely keep in touch with the parents and maybe keep a log of things, because one person is going to be having that log, but it's good for you, I think for everybody to be having a log of who was there, who wasn't there, who said, if there's somebody that's looking for specific resources, maybe it'll remind you to bring the resources with you the next time, and maybe it'll help also the next group. Maybe ideas will pop up that will be helpful.
One tip I have, I've been doing Strengthening Families for I think 7 years now, and one of the things that's most challenging is the magazine clippings. There's a portion for the youth group when they're in their first lesson, and there's a portion for the families in lesson 4 with Family Shield, and there's not a lot of time. So if you just have magazines or just pieces of magazines for them to sort through, it's really difficult for the people to sort through and pick pictures in the amount of time given. So what we've done is kind of come up with different categories, and for the youth categories, it's from their treasure map and job or career, hobbies and leisure activities, friends and family, and health and fitness. And then what we do is we try to find pictures that fit those different things. For kids, ages 10 to 14, a lot of those things are going to be cars, team sports, animals, maybe some family fun things. Those are some of the different things that you can have. So what you want to do is look through magazines and find, when you're watching TV or going on a trip, you just take some magazines and you just go through and you find these pictures, you pull the pictures out, and eventually you want to put them in an envelope. But I'm also going to go through, so in lesson 4, you've got the Family Shield for the family session, and they kind of go on family values. So what we've done is go through and find some of these family values: hard work, caring for the environment, faith and spirituality, value of education, being strong and healthy, spending time together as a family, and try to kind of sort out what would those categories be to match some of the pictures that people might want for their values. So what I want to show you is, so here would be the family and friends. And what we do is have an envelope, have the pictures already cut out. You don't want to have pictures that are too big because they won't fit. So you have the pictures already cut out and ready to go. And then we also have kind of a display piece, so that when we put those pictures out on the table, then we have the family and friends with them, so that when families go to sort through, or kids, they know, oh, okay, I can look for some of those things in this category. Lots of different envelopes, categories. Animals is a big one, both usually for families and also for the kids if they're doing their treasure maps. Hobbies and leisure, you can find things of families working together and having fun. A lot of times it's outdoor type of things. Sometimes it's easy to get certain categories, and some categories are a lot harder to find pictures for. Spirituality is one. That can be a challenge. So you have to kind of look for a variety of magazines, maybe go to the library and see what people have, go to a school library and see if they're getting rid of some magazines, so you can try to find things in certain categories. Team sports is always a big one for the kids because they always want to be an NBA star or a baseball star or something like that. So they're going to want to put that on their treasure map. Nature can be a value for families, so that's a good one. And education is another category that might be kind of challenging to find pictures of, but you might be able to find magazines at schools that show pictures of graduation, kids studying, that kind of thing. So you want to kind of get creative about where you're going to find some of these Work and career is a good one. Can be both for the kids' treasure map and for the family values. And so I really recommend spending time having every one of your facilitators take home a pile of magazines, sit on the couch and tear out pictures and then cut them up, and then if you can even have a get-together where you spread them all out and have the envelopes out and put them into each different envelope, and then you're ready to go. And then you might want to once a year or so refresh it or find out what you have less pictures in, like especially like I said, spirituality and education. Some of those honesties are really hard one to try to actually find pictures for, so people get kind of creative. And just keep those filled. Sometimes you have way too much in one category and you can just save them out until you need more. I also do really recommend having the thing that identifies what it is so that you can keep them in the category. And then when you put them back in your folders, make sure they're all kind of facing forward and they're not all crinkled up. That's about it.